on my chip outs, man. I got this, yeah.
And now, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time to listen to Reese and Dan on the Ankle Pick Pod.
Welcome back, ankle pickers. We are here with an expanded cast today. We got an interview locked in with none other than Ian Butler. Ian, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good here in Vegas. So, yeah.
Good.
So.
We're excited to have you. And then we got the usual panel as well. Danny's here to help me with this interview as usual. He's more the question man. But let's start, Ian, with just tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your background, how you got into fighting, just what brought you to where you are today.
Okay. So, reverse. So the podcast is called Ankle Pickers. So is there any wrestlers on this podcast at all? Or
so, have you ever seen the clip of Tony Ferguson threatened to ankle pick Fabricio Verdum?
Of course.
So it was kind of a meme via that at first. So none of us have any like high school wrestling or wrestling, but
Okay.
multiple jiu-jitsu trainers are on the
Okay.
we're jiu-jitsu guys.
We love to grapple.
We're
Okay.
grappling.
You guys
Got
know
into it
I,
a little bit later.
you guys know I was Tony's like training partner and wrestling coach for years.
Oh, that is awesome. I actually didn't know that.
I was in the corner against him, against Edson Barbosa, and I was brought in to get Tony ready for Khabib.
Oh, that is awesome.
Over
So
the course
I've been there
4 or
for all
5
Tony's
years, huh?
fights. I've been there for all Tony's fights. Like pretty much getting ready for Khabib for everything. So the ankle pick thing, all that stuff. It's yeah, man, he's been with me like by my side for years and years. So yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
That's awesome.
Then. What do you think? And I know that we're going to get into MMA talk later, but what do you think would have happened with that fight that just never seemed to be able to come to fruition?
Fuck, man. I mean, I'm a Tony Ryder, so I mean that's my boy. But yeah, but I mean, but the crazy thing about it is my style is really similar to Khabib. Like I trap wrists, I can trap legs on bottom and stuff like that. So it's funny that I kind of build my game off of that because one of my mentors back in the day was John Fitch. And he was like, yeah, like he was like the original captain of AKA, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I know how to do all that stuff. So it's funny. I'm very familiar. I'm a fan, but Tony is my boy.
Yeah. My take was always that Tony, we love Tony Ferguson here too. The elbows from the bottom, he'd split them open and that'd be it. The old school Tony.
Yeah, man. Old school Tony, dude. Yeah, he's definitely we don't work as much anymore because I got signed over by Ruka and then I transitioned. But his last 2 camps I haven't been a part of. But I mean, he's been going through things, but I'm still a huge supporter of Tony no matter what, man. When I first moved to California, I remember we were getting ready for Khabib, and then I remember he told me like, "Hey, Khabib got hurt. We're fighting Edson," and then I was like, "Damn!" And I remember he, after that fight, coming back to California, we went out to dinner, and he slid an envelope, and it was a couple $1,000, and he helped me buy my car in California. So he's been a big part of my life, man. Any sponsorships he gave, like gave to me, stuff like that. So I know the real Tony up close every single day. Tony, family man, Tony. So yeah,
that's amazing. I'm happy because I've always been a Tony guy, so I'm happy that it does. that all the rumors are true. He's a good guy.
Working up close and personal with Tony and all those 10 Planet guys, how do you think that gives you? I mean, not to skip ahead, but a great look for a 10 Planet guy and Andy Varela at High Rollerz.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So like it's I mean, he's like a funky kind of scramble kind of guy. I scramble too. But the thing about it is like I know how to stop scrambles. That's why I got brought in. Like, you know, that's why Khabib is good at he can control, right? And stuff like that. So yeah, man, like Andy Varela is like a super scrambler. It's the same. It's like, man, I don't know why the fuck like these 10 Planet guys like kind kind of like breakdance, boogie, like all those guys are kind of like fucking kind of like funky. I'm a fan of it, even though I can't fucking do it. But I'm more of like a smash. I'm more of like a smash and pass kind of guy, in your sense. But yeah, man, I'm a fan of it. It's flashy. It's cool, man. I've been in that planet. I've been in that system kind of with Tony forever because he had Casey Hostrom, he had Eddie Bravo. So we're super familiar, you know. It's nothing but love. Actually, announcement. Eddie hit me up the other day to be in the welterweight tournament for combatas. So I just signed that actually too. So I'm gonna go back to back as well. So 10 Planet has a lot of love for me, even though I mean I helped out one of their guys for years. Even though I'm going up against one of their guys, it's still like, man, it's still a lot of respect, like, you know, and stuff like that. So yeah.
So just talking about the event, how are we and our listeners able to support the event? How can we watch or tune in or
leave it YouTube? Okay. I think it's pretty simple. I believe it's YouTube. Yeah, man. A lot of I was at the UFC PI today, rolling around, and it's really cool, like seeing Patchy Nicks and a lot of the guys up there, and just like, yo, Saturday we're gonna fucking be there just because like it's high level grappling, me and him in the main event, and a lot of fighters are showing support. It's just because we're not everybody here has done jiu-jitsu, you know. We're not me and Andy are not guard pullers at all. So it's gonna make for a very exciting style. Yeah, man, I'm just glad to just get out there and get back in the limelight and just compete, man. Like it's been a couple years, so it's yeah, man, I'm just fucking stoked. So yeah.
Could you talk to us about that layoff? What I know your most recent or your Bellator win was one of your most recent fights back in 2018. And then 2019, when Kobe and I were looking, we saw it was kind of right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
I think it's been about 3 years.
I always been cool with Scott Coker and Bellator and everything. So I always did like deals that like, man, if they're not in town or anything and they can't schedule me, I can also fight outside of the promotion that's not equally level to them, so it's not competition, right? So that's why, like, when you see my record, you see a couple gladiator stuff and stuff like that, they will let me out to do that just so I can stay active, you know. And yeah, man, like when I first got signed, Bellator was hard. I was the top #1 amateur in the country, and I got thrown into the big leagues right away, and I was young and I didn't know how to really be a pro necessarily. I was the #1 amateur in the country, and I was still taking cardio kickboxing classes. You know, it's fucking insane, you know? So, and then in that journey, meeting Tony, me on this guy, I learned how to be a pro. And then, yeah, man. And then I started getting my role with Bellator, and I started having my win streak. I think I'm on a 4-fight win streak right now with all stoppages. And then the fucking pandemic happened. The pandemic happened. And then I should say life happened as well, you know. End up getting a separation personally with my wife, and she was diabetic too, so I didn't fight in the pandemic because of that. And then I opened up my gym. I have my Silverback wrestling club. We're like one of the top wrestling clubs in the nation. We're like the #1 club of putting kids into college right now. So selfishly, like I kind of just stopped and poured into them so I can travel with them so all my kids can get their college scholarships and travel the country. And I stayed active and busy by fighters still coming in and everything else. And then, yeah, man. And then when the pandemic was kind of done, I signed with, I went to the Atlanta Open, won that. And then Submission Chael Sonnen hit me up for Submission Underground. Finally start getting back. Right. And then I got my dream matchup of all time of Carlos Condit because, man, since I was a high school kid watching Carlos Condit at bars and everything and stuff like that. And then end up tearing my ACL. So I took the break because of the pandemic, then took some time off. And then I finally started getting back. And then when I started getting back, I got the news that I tore my ACL and then had to recover. And then, yeah, man. So, this weekend is really special to me because, like, man, gym is up and running. Now we have 3 locations now. So in California, we're killing it. I think we put like over 40 kids to CIF, which is kind of like the playoffs, all different schools. And then weights down, back healthy again. So this weekend is special to me because it's the first kickoff of me coming back fully, like, and being active. And I'm still young in my career. So yeah, man.
Are all
Clearly
the gyms in
you have
California? Sorry, Dan, I was just curious about that. Are all 3 gyms in California?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just curious. Go ahead, Dan.
clearly you have an extensive wrestling and grappling background. And obviously the injuries has played into this, but when you're making your return, do you eventually want to get back to fully mixed martial arts, or are these grappling competitions something you really want to sink your teeth into and continue?
So I originally, when I first started, like, I wanted to do both, be the best grappling guy in the world and be the best MMA guy in the world. Initially, fighting has always been fighting, right? But since man, I don't know, like, maybe it's a pandemic, maybe it's something, dude. But grappling is fucking popping off, bro. Like ONE FC and stuff like that. And I'm like, damn, dude, like, it's really time for me to, like, live my dreams. So this is a crazy fucking story. So I signed with the fucking PFL, right? So I signed with the PFL, and then I went to go, I was supposed to fight on the first Challenger series. And then that Monday of flying me out, I went to go get my medicals, and I didn't pass my eye medical because I had surgery 12 years ago for my first Bellator fight. It's called, like, spots in the eye. So it's kind of like spots in the eye. It can lead to a detached retina, but it's not a serious surgery. It's literally like you get it done 20 minutes, laser, and then you can fight literally 5 minutes later, right? Okay. Unfortunately, there wasn't a retina specialist from California to Florida, so they had to reschedule me. So for me to stay active, it was just a chance that, like, High Rollerz hit me up. And then I'm like, man, like, so my surgery, I'm having my surgery next week, and then I'll be officially cleared. I'll be back to fighting full time. But while I'm taking this, while I'm getting back in shape and before the surgery, I'm getting in these high-level jiu-jitsu competitions. And then ever since I signed with High Rollerz, now I'm getting a lot of offers. I think Polaris also offered me to go over to the UK. I think they got Chris Weidman coming up on a Superfight card as well. And then Eddie Bravo hit me up for combatives. So I'm getting booked like crazy for professional grappling, just in general, which is like my bread and butter and first love. So I'm looking to go into the rankings in both. I'm going to do both. I'm going to enter the rankings in MMA back again, and also the pro grappling scene as well.
I love that. I think getting in the like you said, it could be the pandemic, but I know both Danny and I watch all these grappling tournaments, and it's definitely picked up popularity. It's definitely, so having your feet in both is definitely not a bad move.
I think you're going to see a shift. Like, I guarantee, like, I'm putting money on it, that you will probably see a lot of fighters that people should be fighting not go into MMA anymore. Like, just because, like, it's this training camp is, every training camp is hard, but it's a little bit more easy. Like, when you bring up injuries, right? Like, I had the injury bug, like, I tore my ACL, right? This is the second time I had ACL surgery, both legs. When I first signed my Bellator deal, I signed my contract, first day on the mat, I tore my ACL. Came back, had an amateur fight. So MMA is fucking brutal, bro. Like, when you add in, like, kicks and kicking elbows and stuff like that, like, it's fucking hard. Jiu-jitsu, like, and grappling, don't get me wrong, you can still step on the mat the wrong way, knee can turn the wrong way. But initially, if you just tap or something like that, like, you can do it for years and years to come. You know, I see some of the best grapplers in the world. Like, one of my coaches, been Dean Lister, that brought me out, you know. Dean, the 5-time world champ, like, they're doing it at the age high level to like 44, right? And you're not talking about taking that much damage, like, on the brain or anything. Like, it's I think you're definitely gonna see a shift, man. For sure, especially just like the offers. Like, I think Nicky Rod got offered like $25,000 to show. Like, now, if you want to talk about, like, go into details about fight money, and, like, I've been there in the big promotions. I've even fought in Glory Kickboxing. Man, if you will offer that money to an MMA fighter, I guarantee you they would ship over, instead of having, I think Contender Series for UFC is 5-5.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all. And I know PFL is drawing a lot of talent because not only do they limit elbows for their, like, season format, But just the fact that like, if you were going to be someone who's getting 10-10 in the UFC, it's like, oh, I'd rather go for that milli in the bracket and make 10-10 anyways.
When they sent me over my contract, I never seen so many fucking zeros in my life. I am a fan of the fucking PFL. I am a fucking PFL cheerleader. I fucking love it. I love the format. They invited me to the first ever playoffs, I believe is in Long Beach, and Will Brooks was fighting on that card, right? Because like I'm an MMA fucking junkie, right? Like, so like I always like watch film, stuff like that. So Will Brooks, way back in the day, like when he fought Michael Chandler, they brought Bellator, brought me after that pay-per-view. And then when they signed, like, I'm like, dude, the host of rosters that they had and just the playoff formats is fucking dope as fuck, man. Like it's super cool. I love it. And the key thing for me personally, because I'm still in my prime, like I'm only 33. So like the key word is active. Like, how can you stay active, right? Like, I think that's the thing though. Like it's some of the guys from the UFC even talking today, like it's when do you get scheduled? Like you might get sick, right? Or the worst case scenario, like short notice calls, right? You get short notice calls. At least PFL scheduled, it's regulated, and you just know when you're gonna come up. Like you know you're gonna have 3 fights a year. If you make the playoffs, you're gonna have 5. You know, like it's I love that format. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, we're here for that as well. Big fans of the PFL, big fans of the shift towards overall grappling. I mean, I've got the Quintet Ultra poster behind me. Watch who's number 1 all the time. I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, when you're doing these camps that I guess are for more specialized competitions, how specialized are the camps? Are you focusing only on grappling right now, or are you still kind of mixing everything together?
It's funny, like nothing really changes for real. Like I mostly, like, even though like I trust me, like my striking can hold its own, right? Like I even though you see a lot of the finishes on the wrestlers, they're mostly like submissions and like ground and pound submission, like, you know, and stuff like that. But I can hold my own on feet. If I couldn't hold my own, Glory wouldn't assign me, like, you know. But I only really strike like probably once or twice a week, like kickboxing, you know. Obviously when I get closer, I just don't kickbox anymore, you know. And then yeah, that's it. You know, it's pretty simple. So yeah. I think it's pretty much routine as normal. And plus, like for me, it's kind of cool to break up the monotony, just to throw something once in a while, once a week, and then pretty much it's good from there.
Right on.
And I'm reading here on Tapology, it's saying that you're training at Victory MMA. How'd you end up there? How did you use that for your training camps?
Say it again one more time.
No, I'm just seeing here that Tapology list you train at Victory MMA. I'm not sure if that's still correct.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. That was at that was with Dean Lister. That was with Dean, and yeah. But not much anymore. I'm mostly at Violent Gentlemen now. It's such a good company. So it's kind of like how Ruka was. Like Ruka, when I got signed to Ruka, it was me, Bisbing, RDA, Jake Ellenberger, and it was pretty much just a training ground that you guys can just go in and train, you know. So Violent Gentlemen's pretty much just like that. But Brian, such a good guy, good black belt, signed me, and a lot of the AOJ guys go there, and a lot of the other black belts go there, you know. And it's like and I got a key to the facility. I go there and get my rounds in, and it's pretty cool, man. And then now, since I have my gym, I can bring people to me. So even though I'm young, I'm kind of falling into the veteran kind of role now, that I can bring people to me now, which is really, really cool. So yeah, but I'm also utilizing my boy Chase too. Like, he's like one of my best friends. He owns Gold Rush Wrestling in Nevada, and he worked with Aljamain Sterling for his camp, and then now he has Cody No Love, and he has now Dan Ige. So I was with him today at the PI. So Vegas is only 4 hours away, man. So it's really easy for me to just go there for 2 or 3 days, get some rounds in, and then come back and then still stay home. So like it's that's the reason why I moved out to California, man. You have so many resources. King's MMA is right down the street too. My boy Benny Dalius is right down the street as well. It's the Mecca. Cyborg is still down the street. Even though we don't all train at one gym, we all still get together and still train.
So what's that process like? Is it really just all connections? You've known anyone? So when you're cross training, you just send anyone a text, or do normally people have their managers do it, or kind of what's that process like?
Yeah, dude, I just sent Benny. I was like, "What the fuck you doing Thursday?"
That's easy enough.
Yeah, but also too, you realize the MMA community is small, dude. Like it's me, Benny Dalius, Jake Ellenberger, Mark Munoz, Caitlin Young all went overseas for the USO tour, right? The only person that doesn't live in that area was Caitlin Young. You know, all of us lived pretty close to each other, and it was all meeting each other. So, and we all trained with each other over there. So it's really easy for us to get together, you know, and then also to like Gastelum, like me and Gastelum, it's just California's crazy. Like, even though you're not training the same camp, but we have the same strength conditioning coaches. And then it's like Gastelum and Marvin, all of us doing strength conditioning together, right? So everybody's it's crazy that some people are teammates in different ways, but it might not just be training jiu-jitsu, right? Like it, and then also too, like Cabrina, like Cyborg was going out to Cabrina, and Don Madge was coming out with Cyborg camp, and I think he just signed with PFL. So he was going to Cabrina as well. So like there's other teammates in jiu-jitsu that's not close to MMA. So it's crazy, it's weird. I think also too, me being an owner and kind of learning from Tony and learning from RDA and some of these vets, MMA is kind of going towards like the boxing kind of types of training camps, right? You kind of you have your coaches to give you what you want, right? I have my guys to give me what I want with lead guys over at Valiant Gentlemen. It's for me, right? And I have teammates and stuff like that too, but it's geared towards me. And you can bring in your own people, just like how boxing training camps are, right? And if you need to go somewhere to go get in some work, you can go and get some work. I think it's more geared towards there anyway. And I think the big reason why is because the UFC PI too. When I was at the PI, there's so many different guys, right? So many different weight classes, so many people come in there just train together. You get what you need in there, and then you go and get your individual training when you need to.
So you obviously have a fight coming up this weekend, February 18th. And so what does your week, since we're talking about training, what does your week look like? Like, what's your fight week look like, whether it's grappling or MMA?
So
take us through a competition
pretty
week.
much like, so Monday, I might just hit pads, just hit pads, still go for my run in the morning.
How far?
Like 3 miles.
Okay, that's far. That's how I respect it. I respect it. That's a lot.
3 to 5, bro. 3 to 5. I'm a fighter for a reason. I ain't trying to do no marathons. I'm not the deal.
Right.
Those are money. Those are money numbers right there. 3 to 5. So perfect. I'll do those, and then honestly, like it's kind of geared down a little bit. So like it's more technique than anything, right? So I might grapple, I might roll, just depend on the day. Tuesday, Thursdays, I always do sprints anyways. I still won't even break up that routine. I still just do it. It's just a mental thing for me. Just because I use my condition as a weapon, right? So that style, that wrestling heavy style, you need to have a good pace. So conditioning is important to me. Yeah. Today, drove out here, trained for like 3 hours. I flow rolled for like 30 minutes with my guy, and then I had my boy Chase, and then worked with a new guy named Josh. I think he just got signed off the Contender Series for the UFC. He fights at 70. Just did technique, and then mostly chill. And then I'm gonna probably just go drill tonight, lightly, just work on concepts, and then that's it. Tomorrow I have sprints, and then pretty much done from there. You know, Friday I can flow roll, I can run, do whatever, but it's fight time. There ain't much you can do now.
Weight's on point. Weight's looking good.
Weight's good. Yeah.
There you go. Feel good.
Yeah,
good.
Weight's good. I'm chilling. I can kind of eat what I want, but I probably have one day to probably go crazy on Sunday because I have to make weight for the combative jiu-jitsu one for March. So
Okay.
How different is that? Not to derail, just with the open hand strikes and whatnot. Obviously, coming from MMA, you're used to it. But I guess how tough is it of an adjustment for purely the
I fucking
grapplers?
love it, dude. I love it. Sign me the fuck up. Like, I mean, I am signed up, but like, sign me up all the time. Like, it's you guys all do jujitsu. I guarantee you guys want to fucking slap somebody sometimes when they're fucking like being fucking annoying. They don't want to move positions, right? So like, man, dude, like so I'm really big on the mental game too, right? So there's some really good jiu-jitsu guys, right, that are not fighters per se, right? But they're athletes, they're competitors, right? But there's a little bit more different when you actually like when somebody's getting punched for real, like in your like that fight or flight, like that's different, right? So I think I'm not saying I have the advantage. I probably have more experience in that realm of that fight realm of like trying to get somebody out of there. I think it's a skill, right? Like when you know when somebody's gonna go and you're trying to finish, trying to end the show. Like I'm really good at it. I have a 98% percentage finishing rate. So that added in is huge, man. It's huge because you can't really do stuff like you usually like. I remember in fighting when people used to hop on heel hooks and they're like, "Oh, you have to fight the hands," and I'm like, "Or just punch him in the fucking face. Just punch him in the face."
That's one of the best defenses.
The face is open. Like there's two heels on one, right? If you come up, they don't have leverage, right? Put a boot in and then punch them in the face. You know, like it's I think it's pretty simple. I can't wait, man. It's the first time ever being a part of something like this, too, as well. Yeah, it's pretty dope. And it's in Cancun, Mexico. So it's not a bad location to go to.
That's sweet. I'm excited to watch. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, you have at least 2 viewers in this room alone. So we'll be all over that. We'll be all over that.
Oh, shit.
Got anything else pressing, Dan, or should we press on?
I think we can press on.
I have a couple more stuff while we have you, and then we'll let you get back to your regimen, and then hopefully we can have you back too, because I could go for. There's so many times I wanted to take segues, and I was like, but we got to be disciplined.
Dude,
we got to be disciplined.
Segues. It's time to take your segues.
Yeah, it's time to take the segues. So when are you? Obviously, we got the grappling competitions coming up. And I also checked, everyone who's listening, watch on High Rollerz BJJ on YouTube. He was dead on the mark. It is YouTube, but it looks like a fun event. But when do you think you might make an MMA return?
I was supposed to make it a couple weeks ago if it wasn't for mine. So we're probably looking like I got to talk to my manager. I was hoping early March, but since I just signed with Combatives, we'll see. I'm down to go back to back as well. If PFLs want to bring me in, because I mean I gotta make weight anyway. So like I'm down to go back to back and then keep my weight low and then go do jiu-jitsu for fun in fucking Cancun, you know.
Right.
So ASAP. That's the question. That's my answer. Like I'm down ASAP. I'm ready to go. You know, I'm doing core matchups like this so I can stay active against a high level opponent. Like if you're not a high level opponent, it doesn't mean anything to me. So like it's all geared for MMA. It's all geared to come back.
Would it be with PFL or would it be with Bellator, or do you not even know?
Most likely PFL.
Okay, sweet. Hey, we might be there. We might be there. We do some. We like the PFL. We like the PFL. We'll be there. We'll
most likely PFL. I already talked to Scott about it. I was like, I think I'm so it's
awesome.
That's awesome. We asked Ray about. I mean, I think it was the regular season 3 last year. I think it was Kayla's first fight. We were asking Ray about a Bellator PFL kind of super fight event because I think AJ McKee was in the building. And so it was kind of cool to just get that ball rolling. And I think that Ray Cepho especially is really excited about that kind of idea. And so
I would be conflicted. We got a Bellator PFL event.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, fuck, who do I go with? That's hard. Hey, you want to be a company man, but at the same time, man, Scott Coker has gave me so many chances when I came up short and just believed in me, and I wouldn't even have a name at all if it wasn't even for Bellator, man. They gave me a shot, dude. So I have nothing but love for them. I just bet it on myself, and just took the leap to faith for PFL. I hear $1 million. There's not a lot of people that can win $1 million in his lifetime, So you just gotta take chances.
And we've been fortunate enough to do work with both companies, and they're both great. You can't go wrong.
They're both amazing.
Yeah.
They're both amazing, man. That staff's literally seen me grow up, man, in their eyes, dude. And I got brought in the Brian Rebney days. My first pay-per-view when they signed me and brought me over was Tito versus Shemenko, and then King Mo versus Rampage, Chandler versus Will Brooks. It was also the debut of Michael Venom Page as well. So yeah, I got brought in those days, and then when I got signed, that was the first ever event was Scott Coker. And then I remember doing my interviews, and Scott's like, "Oh man, I'm really excited to see you fight." And I'm like, me, what? Fuck. Okay, all right, Scott. And they put me main event on the prelims for that biggest card of history. So for Bellator 131, Tito versus Stephan Bonner. So
I remember that fight.
Yeah.
I remember that fight. Yeah. This is so refreshing because, like you said, the MMA community is small. When you meet the people, it's like, oh my gosh, I need to talk your ear off, because it's rare when you can talk MMA. I can tell you're just like us. We're in the wormhole of taping fights and following all the news and all that good stuff. One more question for you, and I know Kobe really wanted to get this one asked. What's your goal? What's the main goal with your MMA career? Is it to catch gold? Is it to inspire your because obviously you own gyms? What's the main goal?
I mean, I can't fight forever. I mean, the gym is obviously to provide for my family, it's a business. So, it's a business, and it helps a lot of people at the same time, trying to get these kids to get a good education, take them off, have crazy good life experience, travel with them is amazing, honestly, I mean, I've been competing since I was 5. I mean, being a world champion is everything to me, right? Obviously I want to win a world title. I want to win the million. I want to be the #1 ranked guy in grappling. I still have years to do that as well. The ultimate goal, obviously, if anybody heard my story, man, with all this, is to have a good platform so I can help out other people as well. Our wrestling club's a nonprofit, so we help out a lot of kids in need that's less fortunate as well. I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for wrestling or being adopted, being in the kids' home, coming out. So it's definitely so I can to be the good guy in the sport, and to help get back and to help kids reach out to potential. Is it MMA? It's something with combat sports, man, that does something to people for some reason, right? The closeness, stuff like that. And to put it in a positive light to help other people, that's the goal, man. And if I win a world title on the way, then I did my job.
That's awesome. Yeah, the discipline of MMA is one of the things I've definitely taken away. But man, I like the overarching goal there. We really wanted to get into all that, the background. Do you have time, or do we need to save it for another day?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. Just crazy background of, being in St. Louis, Missouri. You guys are from Chicago, So, St. Louis is rough, man. East St. Louis is pretty was the myrtle capital of the United States at one point. And then you have Ferguson. I grew up in Ferguson as well. So it's very humble beginnings, man. I had to boil water to take showers, all kinds of stuff, man. And then moved to California. Mom couldn't afford it, got put in a boys' home, got adopted, and ended up moving back to St. Louis. So I had a lot of humble beginnings, man, a lot of rough beginnings, but it also put a lot of amazing people in my life to get me where I'm at today, man. And the biggest moment ever getting signed to Bellator wasn't fighting on the main event, wasn't getting signed, but I went back to the same homeless shelter that I got raised and dropped off over 100 tickets so they can all go to Dave & Buster's and all go to the fights, because like, man, you have teachers and people in your life is just like, man, you can believe and achieve and do all these things, which is true, right? But when you actually have a kid that actually grew up in the same household and same bed and wear the same hand-me-down clothes from you and living in those situations, and you actually see somebody like actually make it to that stage, it gives you a little hope, man. And and that's always my job to do, and that's what I believe I'm putting my on this earth to do, is to give hope, give back, and to use martial arts and all this stuff to help give back and give these kids different scenarios to help brighten up their lives a little bit.
That's amazing. You're impossible not to root for. You'll definitely have people rooting for you this weekend. One last question, maybe a little bit more, could be more upbeat.
Let's go.
Where did Silverback come from? Where did the name Silverback come from?
So my first ever amateur fight, I fought in Eureka, Missouri at a Motel 6, a nicer Motel 6, because they had a conference room.
Okay.
It was the $69.99 amount a night. So my first fight, I ended he never fought ever again. I knocked him out with nasty, vicious ground and pound. And I got the name Silverback ever since because of how mean my ground and pound was. But also too, my coach did some research, like, hey man, Silverbacks are very like protective of their families, they're very family oriented, stuff like that. And that just embodies just you, just in general. So yeah, man. So I've been called Ian Silverback Butler ever since my amateur days. And it's just so funny, like having Silverback Wrestling Club as a big brand now across the nation is just it's really cool, man. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that name's fitting. And I heard the rumor in the MMA world is all nicknames are given, not like they're earned. You know what I mean?
They're given.
They're given.
They were given. And I also have like a long reach, right? Too. So like the joke is like Ian's a real Silverback. Like, look how long his arms are. And like, and the joke in college, it was like I can tie my shoes standing up, like, because Silverbacks have long arms. So yeah, so it was very fitting. Extremely fitting for me, for sure.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for chopping it up with us. This was an absolute blast to have the opportunity to interview you. Good luck in your fight this weekend. For everyone listening, check out High Rollerz BJJ. Rollerz is with a Z on YouTube, and tune in this weekend to watch our man Ian Butler fight. Also, go follow him at Twitter, on Twitter at Ian Butler MMA. Yeah. Another great spot to get all the content. Anything else, Ian? Any other place to follow you? Anything else?
That is it. Oh yeah, social Instagram's Ian Butler MMA as well. I'm very active on there as well. Hit me up. If you're ever out in California, our gym is only 5 minutes away from Disneyland, so we call it the most happiest place on earth. If you're ever out in Cali and want to get some rolls in, or if you ever go to a show and say what's up, I'm active. I got a lot of guys fighting now, and I'm back fighting now. So just come say what's up to me. So yeah, that's it.
Sweet. Can confirm, extremely friendly.
All
right, that's a wrap.